Third reason for our soul to come back, it is to help and to guide others in their path of correction. To guide someone into their soul correction, you don't need to be a Kabbalah teacher. You don't need to be a spiritual teacher. Each one of us can touch people in our own ways in order to create an awakening for transformation for others. And each one of us has the responsibility to touch certain people in our lives. It might be one individual or it can be many. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The first thing I want you to think about is if there is one person in your life that it is not a new feeling, but you feel for a long time, you'd wish you'd have the ability to help them. And it doesn't matter how much you try, you speak to them, you explain to them about changing their ways, about things that they do that actually manifesting blockages in their process, and you want just good for them, but they don't really listen. I want you to think about one individual like this in your life. The important thing is eventually to realize that in order to create an awakening for transformation for somebody, at least according to the wisdom that we receive, it is never about preaching somebody. It's never about coming and telling somebody, you know what, you're doing it wrong, you should do this is not good. Coming with a judgmental mind and with approach of preaching or let me teach you. How do you need to live your life, right? To be able to help anyone in their transformation, in their change, there are few steps that we need to go through. The first step is acceptance. Acceptance of the situation. If we are not getting with ourselves into a place of acceptance, regardless to the situation or to the person in front of us that we might care a lot about them, if there is no acceptance that this is the situation now, and if there is only the reactive need to fix something that seemed to be wrong, if I will be guided from my own self in a way of just fixing something that seemed to be wrong, the chance that I will be able to create the awakening for this individual is almost zero. In order to be able to help anyone, obviously the first one we need to help is ourselves, is acceptance. Think about that you realize something wrong you've done. Think about how the mind, how the emotions, how everything goes to this self-judgment mode or denial or all of those ways that we deal with reality, right? Acceptance. The first step is accepting the situation. The second step, consciously, we need to get ourselves to believe that change is possible. If I accept certain aspect inside of me that is not so perfect, but I don't believe I can ever change it, I will not be able to change it. If I look at somebody and I can see some of their negativity, and I'm accepting it, this is what it is, right? But I don't believe they can ever change, I'm creating a blockage in their process of change. So acceptance, it is the first step. I don't like the word belief, but knowing, something inside of me know that I can change. Something inside of me know that you can change. I need to bring myself into this state. The third, which will be only an effect of the first two steps, is to be able to love. If I want to change, I need to get myself to love myself. If I want you to change, and I want to to become a guide for somebody so they change their ways, so their life will be better, I need to get into a place of having love towards them. Love, it is not just the emotion that most of people look as love. In Kabbalah we learn that love, it's a form of unity. It's when I can see us connected, we are not separated. Your change will help me, my change will help you. We affect each other all the time. But to be able to come into a place that I operate from a place of love, which this is where the change will take place. We can say all the right words, We can be so smart about ourselves and about others without the capability of making any difference. If we want to make a difference, we need to learn how to come from a place of love. But to come from a place of love, there is need to go through acceptance. There is a need to go through awakening of something inside of me that knows that change can be done. And then, only then, love can be awakened. So I'm going to bring you back into what I ask you to do. Pick up someone in your life that you really care for them and you really desire to help them and you really tried to help them to create the transformation in their lives, but you couldn't. You couldn't. We cannot help anyone, right? Unless we realize what needs to change inside of us before we try to change something in them. So, first of all, recognize one individual in your life. And second, I want you just to reflect over those 3 levels of inner work. Is there acceptance?